Hello students, today I am going to teach you about the classification, structure, composition and structure of vegetables and fruits. Fruit and vegetables have many similarities with respect to their composition, methods of cultivation and harvesting, storage properties and processing. In fact, many vegetables can be considered as fruits in the true botanical sense because they have seeds, and therefore such items such as tomatoes, cucumbers, brinjals or eggplants and peppers like capsicum etc. would be classified as fruits on this basis. However, the important distinction between fruit and vegetables has come to be made on the basis of their usage. Those plant items that are generally eaten with the main course of the meal are classified as vegetables, and those which are eaten as part of the desserts are called as fruits. Now we start with generally the plants, the fruits and vegetables are associated with the parts of the plants from where they are grown, as this helps us also to associate them with the nutrients that they contain or their composition. Now vegetables with the parts of the plant they represent, since as I said, this provides clues to some of the characteristics which may be expected in those vegetables. Now structural features of fruits and vegetables, as I said, they are mostly common and fundamentally similar. Now it is main functional unit of a plant, either a fruit or a vegetable, is the parenchyma cells, and which differs only slightly in the size and appearance. Now this parenchyma cell is made up of protoplast, which is a thin film like, and it is pressed against the cell wall, and inside is the large water filled central vacuole. The protoplast has two membranes, the inner and outer semi-permeable membrane layers, and in between the membrane layers is the cytoplasm and its nucleus are held between these two layers. The cytoplasm contains various inclusions, which among them the starch molecules and the granules, as well as the plastids such as chloroplast, which hold various pigments such as chlorophyll and other pigments, water soluble pigments like beta carotene etc. And also we have chromoplast with different colored pigments. The cell wall, which is cellulose in nature, contributes to the rigidity to the parenchyma cell and limits the outer protoplasmic membrane. It is also the structure against which other parenchyma cells are cemented to form the extensive three-dimensional tissue mass. The layer between the cell walls of the adjacent parenchyma cells is referred to as the middle lamella, and this is composed largely of pectin and polysaccharide cement like material, and air spaces are also found in between the cells, especially at the angles which are formed where several cells come together. Now there are also additional type of cells other than parenchyma cells that make up the familiar structure of the fruit and vegetables. These include the various types of conducting cells which are tubular in nature, and they distribute water and salts throughout the plant. Such cells produce fibrous structures which are toughened by the presence of cellulose and the other material wood-like structure which we call as lignin, and also pectin is also found in them, and these specialized supporting cells which increase in the importance as the plant becomes older. That means the content of cellulose or lignin and increases as the fruit or vegetable it becomes older. So when the fruit or vegetable is tender, the content of cellulose and lignin is less, so they are tender, and as they become older they become more tough due to an increased amount of cellulose and lignin. An important structural feature of all plants, including fruits and vegetables, is the protective tissue, the outer layer. Now, this can form many forms, but it is usually made up of specialized parenchyma cells which are pressed together, compactly together, to form what we call the skin, the peel or the rind of the fruit or the vegetable. Now, surface cells of these protective structures such as leaves, fruits, vegetables, stems, etc., they are made up of waxy cutin and they form a water impermeable cuticle. Now, these tissue surfaces, especially on leaves and young stems, will also contain numerous valve-like cellular structures, the stomata, through which the moisture and gases can pass. I am going to start with classification of vegetables. Now, as I said earlier, the vegetables are classified based upon the parts of the plants which they represent. So, they are classified as root vegetables, examples carrots, beetroots, turnip, radish and colocasia. Now, tubers, potatoes, sweet potatoes and tapioca. Bulbs, onion, garlic and leaves, cabbage, lettuce, spinach, amaranth, fenugreek leaves, coriander leaves, mint leaves, etc. Now, flowers, in this we have plantain flower, cauliflower, broccoli and the neem flower. Now, under fruits we have tomatoes, brinjals, as I told you, lady's finger, pumpkin, cucumber, gourds, all kinds of ash gourd, we have ridge gourd, the bitter gourd, the bottle gourd, capsicum, drumsticks and plantain, because all of them they contain seeds. Now, under legumes we have classified peas, beans, broad beans, French beans, double beans, tender Bengal gram as well as tender red gram, which we also put them under pods and seeds. Now, under stems we have plantain stem, ginger, amaranth stem, tender amaranth stem, celery and lotus stem. Now, seeds, mostly as you know, when they are sprouted, so seed sprouts are green gram, Bengal gram, any kind of beans which when sprouted are classified as seed sprout vegetables. Now, we have fungi, mushroom is the example, and algae, spirulina is the example. Nutritive value and composition of vegetables. Now, nutritive value of green leafy vegetables is the first component in this. Generally, green leafy vegetables are very good sources of vitamins and minerals. They are excellent in carotenes, beta carotenes, which are converted to vitamin A. Among all the green leafy vegetables, the colocasia leaves contain the highest amount of carotene and the cabbage leaves have the least amount. The greener the leaves, the higher the amount of beta carotene. Now, beta carotenes are also good antioxidants. Now, greens are very good sources of vitamins, especially B vitamins, particularly riboflavin and folic acid. But one thing to be remembered is the vitamin content is highest when the leaves are fresh, but drying and withering of the leaves reduces these vitamins. Now, green leafy vegetables or GLV as they are commonly called also contain vitamin C and they are rich in iron content. Now, certain leaves like agathi, colocasia leaves, drumstick leaves and fenugreek leaves also contain calcium. Now, greens are high in moisture content and therefore they are highly perishable. Greens are not very good sources of proteins, fat, carbohydrates, so do not contribute these to our diet, but agathi leaves are highly nutritious. Therefore, green leafy vegetables, they provide all the nutrients that are needed in the diet. At the same time, they are low in calories, so they can be included in large quantities for people who are on a low calorie diet. Now, nutritive value of roots and tubers. Now, roots and tubers give more calories than any other vegetables and compared to green leafy vegetables as they contain only starch. Now, apart from starch, carrots, contain high amounts of beta carotene, but it is not as high as when compared to leafy vegetables. Roots and tubers are also fairly good sources of vitamin C, but they are poor sources of calcium, iron, protein and B vitamins. So roots and tubers mostly provide starch, little amount of vitamin C, and some like carrots provide beta carotene. Now we also have a third class of vegetables which we put them as other vegetables. Now they contain all the other vegetables include lady's finger, brinjal, gourds, beans, etc. Now let us see their nutritive value. They contain high amounts of moisture, therefore they are highly perishable. They provide moisture to the diet. Now they are poor sources of all other nutrients, but they are very good sources of fiber in the diet. Now plantain green contains high amount of iron. Capsicum contains vitamin C, and we have two varieties of bitter gourd, the small variety and the bigger bitter gourd. The small variety is more nutritious than the bigger bitter gourd. So this is where we stop with the second module. Previously we have covered the nutritive value of vegetables. Now let us have a look at the other components. Now we start with the pigments, and these pigments are the reason for the bright color of fruits and vegetables. Now most of the pigments occur in plastids, which are the specialized bodies lying in the protoplasm of the cell. Now water soluble pigments are not found in the plastids, but they are dissolved in the vacuoles and not distributed throughout the cell. Now basically pigments are classified into two types, and they are water soluble pigments and water insoluble pigments. Now let us start with water insoluble pigments. The first water insoluble pigment we will talk about is the green pigment chlorophyll. Now these pigments are found in the leaves and stems, and these are held very close to the cell wall in the small bodies, which are called as chloroplast, along with carotenes and xanthophylls. They are insoluble in water and they dominate in the unripe fruits and vegetables. There are two types of chlorophylls which are found, chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. These two have been isolated. Now chlorophyll A is a blue-green in color and chlorophyll B is yellow in color, but when they are found in plants in the ratio of 3:1, which gives the green color. Now this is chlorophyll A is found mostly in the florets of the blue-green broccoli, and chlorophyll B is in the stalks. Now the second water insoluble pigment are the carotenoid pigments. They are seen mostly in the yellow, orange and red colored vegetables and fruits. Now in greens the carotenoids are present along with chlorophyll. Now beta carotene is useful as it is converted to vitamin A. Now coming to water soluble pigments, the first we have are what we call the flavonoid pigments, which are classified under anthocyanins and anthoxanthins. Now anthocyanins are water soluble pigments which disperse freely, which are ranging in color from red to purple in color. They are present in red cherries, red apples, red grapes, pomegranates and red cabbage. Now anthocyanins are colorless pigments or pale yellow to white in color, and they are widely distributed in almost all the plant tissues, but predominating examples are like radish, cauliflower and onions. Now we also have under the water soluble pigments the betalains. Now these are composed of beta cyanins and beta xanthins. Now these two pigments are called as betalains. A high ratio of beta cyanin to beta xanthin leads to the formation of violet medium to red and yellow to orange in color in tuber vegetables. Now mostly you will find them in beetroot and also in other violet colored vegetables. Now these are the pigments. Now we go to another major class of components called as sulfur compounds. Now mostly these are found in the vegetables of allium family, such as onions, garlics, and those which belong to also brassica family, such as cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, null-kol, etc. Now, and also cabbage like Chinese cabbage and red cabbage. They contain two allium compounds which are called as allicin and allin, which contribute to the strong flavor of these vegetables. Now the difference is, vegetables of the onion family like onion, garlic and leeks, they are strong flavored when they are raw, but when they are cooked they lose their strong flavor. But the other class of vegetables like cauliflower, cabbage, which belong to the brassica family, they flavor is mild when they are raw, but the flavor becomes very strong when they are cooked improperly or when they are overcooked. Now we also have, apart from sulfur compounds, the various organic acids which are present in vegetables. Now these acids are found in almost all the vegetables, but they are found in higher amount in certain vegetables like tomatoes, lemons, green mango, tamarind and gooseberries, and as a result of high acidity in these vegetables, they have a low pH because of the concentration of acids. Now we have also enzymes which are found in vegetables, and they are of two types, the hydrolytic enzymes as well as the oxidoreductases. Now these enzymes are responsible for the ripening of vegetables. For example, tomatoes. When you buy tomatoes, they may be half ripened, but when you bring them home and store them for 3-4 days, there is a change in the color and also the firmness of the tomatoes. This occurs because of the enzymes, and enzymes are also responsible for causing browning reaction in vegetables such as potatoes, brinjals and plantain when they are cut and their surface is exposed to air. Now apart from this, vegetables have other flavor compounds. When you eat a vegetable and chew on it, you can experience a different flavor for different vegetable. It is mostly due to a combination of sugars, acids, salts and other bitter compounds which are found in vegetables. Now one special mention here about the bitter compounds, which are flavonoids and glycosides in nature, which are found in bitter vegetables such as bitter gourd. Now I am going to talk to you about the fruits and their composition and the classification. Now fruits are produced from flowers, and they are the ripened ovary or ovaries of a plant together with the adjacent tissues. Fruits are, as you all know, very fleshy or pulpy in character, and at the same time they are very juicy and usually sweet and fragrant flavors. Now we classify fruits in the following manner. They are divided into groups depending upon the shape, the cell structure, the type of seed or the natural habitat. One of the system classifies them into the following groups. There are various ways of classification, but one very common one is the one I am going to give you, such as berries, citrus fruits, drupes, grapes, melons and pomes, tropical and subtropical fruits. Now let us see along with their examples. Now berries, under berries we have strawberries, gooseberries, blackberries, blueberries, raspberries and cranberries. Now some of them are grown in India, and some of them are in the process of being grown under artificial climatic conditions, but they are all available because of imports also. Now citrus fruits, under citrus fruits we have sweet lime, oranges, tangerines, sour oranges, lemons, limes, grapefruit also. Now drupes, we have apricots, sweet cherries, peaches and plums. Now whatever fruits I am telling you, they are available in India. Now grapes, we have green grapes, we have black grapes, and we also have the seedless grapes. Under melons, only two types, the musk melon and the watermelon. We have under pomes, apples and pears, only these two fruits. Now tropical and subtropical, under this we have amla, avocado, banana, dates, guava, mango, what we call jamun or jambu fruit. We have papaya, passion fruit, jackfruit, pomegranate, sapota and pineapple, and most important, very indigenous to India, sitafal. Now let us look at the composition and nutritive value of the fruits. Now coming to the nutritive value, fruits are very poor sources of protein and fat, except a fruit avocado, which is an exception, which contains 28% fat, and it is avocado is very popular in the Mediterranean region, and nowadays it is popular across the world. In this, alpha linoleic acid is present in plum, papaya and guava, and also fruits contribute to omega-3 content of the diet. Now fruits contain high amount of moisture, hence they are highly perishable, but they also quench our thirst because of the juice which is contained in these fruits. They are also good sources of fiber. Now fruits are not very good sources of calories except for certain fruits such as banana, and we can also talk about sapota, sitafal, mango and grapes, which provide more calories than other fruits. Other fruits are low in calories. Ripe fruit contains a higher percentage of sugar than unripe fruit, and the sugar is chiefly in the form of sucrose and fructose, and therefore fructose is also called as fruit sugar, and a small amount of glucose is also present in fruits. Now generally fruits are poor sources of iron except a few fruits, especially sitafal, and iron is found to some extent in pomegranates and watermelon also. Now mangoes are excellent sources of beta carotene in the diet, and according to the research conducted by National Institute of Nutrition, the Alfonso variety of mango has the highest percentage of beta carotene, and the other varieties of mangoes also are fairly good sources of beta carotene. Now apart from mangoes, fresh Indian dates and papaya are also good sources of beta carotene. Guavas and citrus fruit are very good sources of vitamin C, and cashew fruit, which is an inexpensive source of vitamin C. Now the fruit which has the most vitamin C in the raw state is what we call amla or the Indian gooseberry, which has the highest amount of vitamin C or ascorbic acid. Now one fact about fruits is, when the fruits are bruised, peeled, cooked or exposed to air, or you take juice out of them, the vitamin C is what we call oxidized, and there is a loss of vitamin C. Therefore you need to consume all the fruits in their whole fruit form in order to get maximum benefit of ascorbic acid or vitamin C. Now apples, pears, cherries, grapes and citrus fruits contain flavonoids which act as antioxidants. Now this is about the composition and the nutritive value of fruits. Like vegetables, fruits also contain other components, especially pigments, and let us see what are the pigments and in which fruits we find them. Green colored pigment chlorophyll is found in guavas, gooseberry, country apple. Carotenoids, you can find them in mango, papaya, orange, watermelon. Now in muskmelon you find what we call the pigment lycopene, and we also have beta carotene. Jackfruit has beta carotene. Peaches have something called as volazanthin, and tomatoes contain both lycopene and zeaxanthin, and in pink grapes we have lycopene and beta carotene. Pineapples we have again zeaxanthin and beta carotene. Now anthocyanins, which are purplish in color, we find them in red grapes, blueberries, plums, cherries. Now anthocyanins, again the body of guavas, apples, gooseberries, pears, custard apple and banana. Now let us see the other components other than pigments, because pigments give attractive color to the vegetables. Now we have the water. The percentage of water in fruits ranges between 75 to 90%. That's why we also use them to quench our thirst. Now dissolved in this water, the bulk of which is found, the water is found in the vacuoles, are the soluble substances like salts, sugars, organic acids and water soluble pigments. Now substances which are unable to dissolve in water are colloidally dispersed in it. Now apart from water, the main components which give the structure to the fruit or vegetable, especially fruits, is the cellulose and the pectic substances, which are the fiber components. Now cellulose is the indigestible fiber and pectic substances is the digestible fiber. The framework of the fruit is made up of cellulose, which forms the walls of the plant cells and in which large amounts of water is held. Now apart from cellulose and hemicelluloses, pectic substances are found in cell walls and between the cells. They act as cementing material and bind the cells together. Now pectic substances include, first, in the raw fruit you find protopectin, which is the insoluble parent molecule. Now as the fruit becomes more ripened, it is converted to pectinic acid or pectin, and in the overripe fruits you will find pectic acid. The change in solubility of the pectic substances occurs because of the enzymes and because of the ripening. Now this makes tissues, as the from protopectin it turns into pectic acid, the fruit becomes more softer and the tissues disintegrate. Now acids make the structure more firm, whereas alkalis tend to disintegrate the fibers. Now the flavor components. Now we all love to eat fruits, not just because of the color etc., but also because each fruit has a distinct flavor. Now the flavor component that you find associated with each fruit is a complex of several components, which is made up of volatile flavor compounds, which include esters, aldehydes, acids, alcohols, ketones and ethers. Apart from this, sugars, tannins, acids and mineral salts also affect the flavor of the fruits. So ultimately the flavor of the fruit that you feel on your tongue is a combination of all the substances which I have mentioned just now. That's why it's a complex process. Some fruits contain essential oils which are also important flavor contributors. For example, citrus fruits or lime and lemon, when you squeeze them, they have a typical lemony flavor. That is because of the essential oils. Now, one other important component which is found in certain fruits is the polyphenolic compounds. Now, polyphenolic compounds confer on fruits certain, and also vegetables, certain desirable and undesirable qualities. Now let us see. Polyphenols, or they are also called as tannins. These are present in the tissues of fruits such as apples, peaches, grapes, almonds and some pears. Now tannins affect the color and flavor of the fruits and vegetables. Skin and seeds contain high amounts of tannin of these fruits. When a fruit is pressed, such as apples, in the preparation of cider or grapes in making juice or wine, the tannins flow into the juice. Development of brown discoloration occurs in cut fruits such as bananas, apples due to phenolic substances by the polyphenolase enzyme. The formation of dark colored complexes with iron results in the undesirable appearance of canned foods. The development of pink to pinkish brown color in fruits like pear, guava, apple, banana appearance of canned foods. The development of pink to pinkish brown color in fruits like pear, guava, apple, banana, etc. is attributed to the polyphenolic compounds which are identified as leucoanthocyanins. Now, bitterness in fruits, especially in citrus fruits, especially in the seeds and the skin of the fruits, is attributed to compounds of two classes which are limonoids and flavonoids, and the two active ingredients in this compounds are limonin and naringin, which are the active compounds which cause bitterness in citrus fruits and other products. So, understand the importance of vegetables and fruits, that if you include them in your daily diet, they help you prevent the diseases which we call the lifestyle disorders like cancers, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases and hypertension.